please state by the pound sign.
And
Your line has been muted.
Informatica Cloud 2015 winter release. And we're happy to have with us several members of the Informatica Cloud product management team to share with us all the insights in this particular release. Thank you all for joining us today, and this meeting is being recorded for those of you that cannot make it. Just logistical items, please place yourself on mute, and please feel free to use the chat panel to ask questions throughout the presentation. We will be answering all these questions at the very end. Agenda items to talk today about the winter 2015 release. We have connectivity improvements. We have several new Cloud Designer features that you've all been asking for. We'll be going into a demo of the Cloud Designer. We have RealTime Integration updates, and we'll be going into a demo of the RealTime Integration functionality as well. There's some platform-level enhancements, and we have a brand new exciting Cloud Customer Support offering to all chat about. So there's connectivity improvements coming up with this particular release. For instance, we've updated our connectors for Salesforce and NetSuite. Some of the latest APIs, 2014.2 for NetSuite and version 31 for Salesforce. We have encryption and bulk querying for Amazon Redshift. Numerous application and interface improvements to SAP, IDOC controls, load balancing, EC5 and 6 support, and our connectors for Workday, NetSuite, SAP, JDBC, and OData now have real-time support as well. At this point in time, I'd like to bring in Anand Perry and really ask you about the difference between ECC 5 and 6. We've seen a lot of our customers request support these versions of SAP. What's the difference between ECC 5 and 6?
I had support for ECC 6 for the past 6 releases, and ECC 5 is an older version from SAP, which was released in 2004-2005 time frame. Recently, we've seen a few customers request for the support to ECC 5. We've certified that in this release.
Excellent. I also want to bring in Pratik Srivastava, who takes care of our Amazon connectivity. So we have encryption that's being introduced into the Amazon Redshift connector, and this really makes it prime time use case for enterprise data warehousing functionality in the cloud. So why is encryption so important for Amazon Redshift?
I think it's very important for the customers who really care about the data and privacy around that. So one feature this does is it provides the server-side encryption. And what it does is it provides encryption at rest. So you're uploading your data from any of your system on-prem or cloud on S3 to Redshift. It ends the data at rest point, and then it decrypts it at your point of access. So it provides you, all the benefits of privacy and security around the data.
Thanks, Pratik. And with that, let's go into some of the new Cloud Designer features that you've all been asking for. A lot more functionality in the sources and targets. We have a transformation called the source transformation. And for those of you that have been active users of PowerCenter, you'll be happy to note that there's more usability in our maplet feature, and we've also introduced an update strategy on the target side. I want to ask Krupa Narayan, who's the lead PM for the mapping designer, what exactly does this mean for customers in terms of more usability for maplets and the use cases for an update strategy?
Ashwin, the kind of enhancements we've put into the Cloud Mapping Designer really takes the Mapping Designer use cases into more of the heavy-duty scenarios where, especially around data warehousing, we just heard Pratik talk about Redshift and how our connector has been updated. You can leverage the Redshift connector through the Mapping Designer through the update strategy, you can really design a data-driven approach to what happens to the data at the Redshift end, whether you're inserting, updating, and this can be based on the value in some of your data. We've also enhanced significantly the aggregator and sorter functionality, which help you sort and aggregate before you move that data into data warehouses, so it better facilitates BI use cases. Throughout our Cloud Mapping Designer, we've added advanced property support for those customers that have been using PowerCenter heavily. You'll be able to appreciate that a lot of the tweaks that you can put around how you want your mapping to work, for example, around caching, options around where you want the cache to happen, how you buffer caches, all of those advanced functionality have been added as well, which facilitate a number of those production heavy-duty use cases, especially around cloud data warehouses, where we've seen increasing adoption around what we've added here.
Thank you, Kripa, for that great explanation. And on that note, I actually want to bring in Anand and Kripa to show you a demo of the latest functionality within the Cloud Designer. Kripa, please hang on while I make you presenter.
You can make me the presenter. So I would like to show you calling API from Cloud Mapping Designer demo. And this demo, we're going to be passing custom information into SAP BAPI, and the BAPI will return the sales order information from SAP. And this is going to highlight or showcase the merit enhancements we've done in the Cloud Mapping Designer. Just creating a new mapping here. I gave it a name. And step is to drag this onto the palette from the palette. And this one is a maplet. And typically BAPIs have multiple groups. I'm going to have multiple targets in this mapping. And now that we have all the shapes on the canvas, we're going to start configuring these shapes individually. So on the source, I'm going to give it a name, BAPI_import. Now I'm going to be pick up from a flat file. So already file as an input. And once I have chosen file, I just connect that. Okay, I need to configure my maplet. So the maplet name, and I select the maplet that I've already imported into the and selected that. The moment I do that, it gets rid of the maplet. We also have to configure the connection. So SAP BAPI connection available to us. I choose connection. And the next thing is we can connect the source to the BAPI and we field mapping. BAPI, and we are passing the customer number and org as parameters to the BAPI, and the BAPI is returning the BAPI return and the sales order information as the outputs. So I'm going to take the BAPI return to one of the targets, the sales order information or the detail to another target. group level mapping that I have done. I have to configure the targets now. So this is sales order info. And configure the target to be a flat file. File there, and then now I have to do the field mapping. And have built my flat file with this exact same metadata as the SAP BAPI. I can use the functionality called the auto match, and the fields will be mapped automatically for me. I need to repeat the same process on the other target, which is the BAPI return. Configure the target to be a flat file. And do the field mapping. Same thing again. I have all the field data as the same between the source, the BAPI and the target. So I'm going to do the match. What we have done right now is we've built a mapping end to end. So I'm just going to say save and continue. So because execute this, a couple of new features in the BAPI itself are smooth. Now each of these groups can be seen and mapped at the group level. So what it does is in the past, in the previous release of all the fields across these groups were lumped together in one single basket, and it was a little more difficult for the developer to scroll and do the mapping. Right now it basically separates out each of these groups. So now I'm going to say when this will actually finish drawing, and we're going to see one additional feature, granular activity logging that we have introduced in this release in the way 2015. So for each of the targets and the source, we have the row count. In the past, all you were seeing was the aggregate row count on the top. So now you are able to see row count for each target. But
Switching things over, in the other usability enhancements around business names, it's an outlet that you'd like to highlight.
Yes, within the template, we also have introduced the technical names. So in the past, we only displaying only the technical names. Now you can actually toggle between the business and technical, just like in most of our source and target objects.
Thank you. So as Anand just walked us over the SAP functionality and huge improvements to the way we do hybrid. When you build a maplet in PowerCenter and bring it over into Cloud Mapping Designer, there's a lot of functionality that we're now able to preserve, including the multi-group, the business names, and it really facilitates the kind of use cases you can achieve using maplets within the Cloud Mapping Designer. What I'll do over the next few minutes is also highlight the other new enhancements in the Cloud Mapping Designer in the context of the mapping that will help us pull some odd information into a data warehouse. In this particular case, I'm going to use Redshift as an example, and then see how the new enhancements can facilitate such a scenario.
Please just hang by while the presenter is experiencing some difficulties.
All right, thanks for hanging by. We're going to use, I'm just going to read in a comment. All right. Yeah, sorry about that. We took a while, but the beauty of cloud is that I can switch laptops and still get to my demo by logging in from Anand. Thank you, Anand.
Yeah. Second.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm going to myself, and I'm going to walk you through a mapping that we will build from scratch. With the Mapping Designer tab, and you'll notice that we've introduced some usability enhancements here around icons. The idea is that we start reusing these icons everywhere, so there's a familiarity. When you see those icons in the activity logs, you know exactly what kind of task you're working with. So let's start a load orders today. What I'm going to do here is start building a mapping from scratch, and along the way we will visit some enhancements. The first thing I will start with is, in this particular case, I'm going to pull customer information from Salesforce. Let's pull some order information from an on-premise data source. I will use MySQL. I will join these two data objects, one from the cloud and the other from an on-premise data source. And we will do an aggregation on that data, which is typically what happens in a data warehousing scenario, and move the aggregated data over into Redshift. So the first source I will configure is Salesforce. Again, as a reminder that the Cloud Mapping Designer is designed to work with all of the connectivity that Informatica Cloud Platform offers, which is over 100 connectors built on the Java-based SDK that we have available on the platform. So we have a variety of sources, either both from cloud and on-premise, that you can pull your data from. Second source that I will get data from is an orders database, and in this particular case, I'm going to have that from MySQL. And it's made it extremely easy for multiple objects from within a data source to be joined and for the data to come in a joined way. So for example, I have an order table that contains my order information, and I also have a product information table that contains a little bit more details about what the product is, including the description. So what I've done here is added the orders table, and then I can add a related object. We have the intelligence to go in and pull existing relationships. So I have a primary key and foreign key relationship established in my database. So it's able to pull that, so I can simply select that, or I could extend that through custom relationship, where I add another table and define more than one join condition for bringing the data together. So for example, I can not only combine the two tables based on the SKU ID, but I wanted to also match the description to be sure that this is how the products will be mapped. Then I can add multiple relationships. We also support advanced relationship that allow you to completely free-form type in a where condition, a join condition, and this applies to all of our relational sources. We query options that make it easy to filter right at source. So when you want to bring in orders where the quantity of the order is more than 5, I can do that right here at the source. So I'm not needing more data than what is required. We also now completely support the system variables such as the last run time and last run date. So it's extremely easy now to use a Cloud Mapping Designer mapping to do incremental loads, especially in data warehousing scenarios. If you only want to bring in orders that were created since the last execution of this mapping, then you can use the last run time and last run date variables that Informatica Cloud has offered in this context as well. So once we have the filters defined, and I have my accounts data, custom data coming in from Salesforce, We can go ahead and define a join condition that will map this data together, again, between a cloud source and an on-premise source. Map them by the customer ID that's available in the order table. What we do next is use a lookup to get some tax information, and we will design this lookup in such a way that it is reusable. So I'm going to get, say, get tax rate as my lookup name. And there is this new functionality called unconnected lookup. For those of you that are familiar with PowerCenter, exactly what PowerCenter offers in terms of a reusable lookup, where I can define a lookup. I can specify the lookup object. I'm just going to choose a file that contains tax information against the state. So I define that. I can specify some variables or input parameters that are coming into the lookup operation. It's pretty much like a function definition, where say my input variable can be anything that's coming into the lookup. This lookup condition that says against my file, if the state equals the variable that's coming in, then I want to return the tax rate as my own value. So this essentially becomes a function call that can be reused in multiple expressions. What I will right now, so I will add an expression. What I'm going to do is calculate the total amount on the order, and to that I will say my output field is the order, which will be a decimal. To compute the order total, what I will need is not only the price per unit into the quantity, which is coming from my order table, but also want to augment this with that in any tax that I want to add on that order. So what I will do is have this. I'll use the lookup that I just defined to say that I will convert that to decimal. And on functions, you will notice that we have a new section called lookup. Any lookup, unconnected lookup that you define in your canvas is available here, along with the help on what kind of variables it expects. So I will do a lookup get tax rate, and the input variables to that will be the billing state or the shipping state that I can choose from the Salesforce source. This is pretty much a function call that I'm invoking so I can get the tax rate, and then multiply that into with the order amount and calculate the order total. It's easy to reuse that get tax rate function in multiple expressions if I need to do that. So it's I can use this here, I can use it in other expressions, and so on. So once I've created the order total, then I'm going to also use the aggregator functionality to aggregate by country, and then I want to get aggregations on minimum, average, and some business intelligence loaded into the data warehouse. In order to make aggregator efficient, we also now support the sorter. So I can add a sorter over here and then sort the fields, sort data coming in using any of the fields available. So let's say I want to aggregate by bill country, then I can sort by billing country as well. And once I have the sorted input going into the aggregator, it's very easy to define an aggregation where I can group by, say, the country, and then do aggregate on the total for that country. It's very powerful functionality from our data integration side that supports batch integration and bulk loading into data warehouses. So I would say total by country. If we define this, what I'm trying to do here is do a sum, which is one aggregator functions that we have available on the function tab, and then just do an order total. So I think that I was able to get customer data, get order data from ground, join them, define reusable tax rate lookup, use that in the calculation for the order total, use the data coming in from the cloud to aggregate this information by country, and then compute the totals. Once I have that, then all I need to do is get that into my Redshift target. I've built the cloud data house, and again, here in target we have a number of enhancements to support this. For example, if my target were multi-object, supported multi-object, for example, if I were trying to get this into a NetSuite ERP to actually process the shipments for the order, then I would be able to not only define a single object, but define a parent and a child object, so I can write to the orders tables, shipment tables. And then here in Redshift, have the ability to create an object. In many cases, you're not in data warehousing scenario, you're collecting data from different sources, you're aggregating them, and you may want to generate an object on the Redshift side. So what we can do is create an object at runtime. So call this orders. And then once I define that object, when I execute this mapping, it will actually generate that object in Redshift and move the aggregated data over. Now there is a lot of enhancement to how we handle new object creation. We defer this until the runtime, until when we have all the information available. So if you had some parameterized components here and you want to define the values to those, we wait until all of that information is available before that object can be generated. And when it comes to field mapping, because I'm generating an object, there is no field mapping to be done. The object will be generated with whatever field information is available. Again, huge improvement over in terms of usability as well as productivity in terms of how we handle object creation. Thing that is from talking about usability, we have a number of usability enhancements. One of which is for those of you that have used Cloud Mapping Designer, we've expected the designer user to handle what we call field name conflicts. So, for example, if I add an expression, this expression here with a field called order total, and let's say I have another source coming in or another expression with the same field name, and let's say order total over here. Previously, we would expect that you go into the previous transformation, resolve those conflicts. We've made it extremely simple to resolve such conflicts moving forward. If I bring this link, I have an order total field coming in from this link, and I have an order total link coming in from other expression into my sorter. So what you will notice is the Cloud Mapping Designer can automatically detect that. It provides an interactive way to resolve conflict, field name conflicts. So I can choose for every field coming in from new expression 1, just prefix it with, or just suffix it with _1, and it will generate that field name automatically and therefore resolve the conflict. So huge productivity enhancements where we can automatically detect and help you resolve those field name conflicts. The other quick thing I wanted to highlight on the target side is what we discussed earlier when Ashwin brought up update strategy. What's done is, up until now, when you have few targets defined, Anand showed us a mapping where he was writing to 2 separate targets. If you choose to insert to one target and update to another target, you can simply choose the operation on the target side. But if you want to do it in a data-driven way, now have an option here where you can configure the data-driven to say, if the ID is null, then do an insert, otherwise do an update. So you can define any condition here to do the strategy of what you want to do or how you want to handle that data reaching the target, whether you're trying to do an insert operation, update, or delete. It's very convenient to have this grouped with the target without having to add it as a shape in the pipeline. You can simply define it at the point that it matters. So when you're writing to the target, you simply specify the condition and how that data needs to be handled. That's what we have in back to you.
Thank you, Kripa. And now it's time for our real-time integration demo. And I'd like to bring in Luc Clement, who heads our cloud real-time integration functionality. Luc, over to you.
What I'd like to talk to you about is what Informatica Cloud Real-Time, how it enhances the capabilities that you're using with data integration and batch integration. What things are now possible with Informatica Cloud Real-Time is the ability to, as the name suggests, integrate systems in real time as events are created. So you can, in Salesforce, for example, processing an order, and for that order, for the Informatica Cloud Real-Time platform, to have information automatically generated in NetSuite so that you can have immediate response to the order. And for for example, the order information in NetSuite actually being updated, having custom fields in Salesforce updated in real time. So you don't have to wait at the end of the day, or it's something that you can do interactively. Some of the use cases that we make possible. The ability, for example, to integrate within in the Salesforce user experience, actually the ability to access data at source so that you do not necessarily have to replicate the data and synchronize the data into Salesforce, which for certain customers can become a problem. That in fact you can organize and pull the data as you need it as you're navigating the Salesforce interface. So that allows this concept of mashup of data interactively, both is possible also therefore in the Salesforce environment, but it's for customers that have adopted the Salesforce One platform, mobile platform. Same sort of capabilities are provided by Informatica Cloud RealTime. So we provide you the means by which to create processes, integration, to be able to mash up information from various sources and to be updated and information from different sources. Available through the Informatica Cloud Process Designer, and I'll be showing you an example of the Process Designer and the Guide Designer, which you can access right from Informatica Cloud to create processes, to create guides that allow you to be able to integrate your various systems. Now, let me show you in a demo a scenario, and in the interest of time, I'll focus on one aspect of the scenario, where a sales organization is visiting a retailer, and we're trying to determine prior to the meeting to make sure that there are no open cases that may have been created through interaction with that particular vendor. So to make sure, as in a sales situation, that you're not entering a situation where there's open issues that hadn't been resolved. We'll just describe how we can integrate, for example, in real time, multiple Salesforce orgs. We know during the course of this demo how you can access NetSuite, get some credit check information. We will inventory check and pricing information for goods. And in this particular case, the company is a catering company, and we're selling it fish, and fish prices change all the time. So we'll be able to access price information, real-time pricing information from an Oracle database on this, and then in the end, we'll be placing the order in real time through the cloud. So with that, I'll just share my desktop and go through this demo. Okay. Thank you. So, the company here, we are Whole Foods Sales, and we're visiting, as I said, AO and a catering group. I know there are contacts within that organization, and today we'll be visiting with Mark Murray. And with Mark, the first thing I'm going to do is to determine in preparation for this meeting, I'm going to create a new opportunity. Now, as I'm creating opportunities, as I said, I'm going to be calling and visiting with Mark. I want to make sure that there may be open cases. But before I do that, I actually create the order, Salesforce order for 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to forecast this order in as a best case, probably, because I'm not sure whether I'm able to close it, and tentatively close this order at this particular date. So, as you may have noticed, I started on an account, I've selected a contact, and then without having to switch to a different port of the Salesforce UI, I'm able to create an opportunity. And if I press continue, an opportunity will have been created. So it allows us to automatically, to be able to centralize and ensure consistent input of data, simplifying the input of data for example, for opportunities. But as I was saying, part of what I want to be able to do is to determine if there are open cases. So what we've done through in this release is make it possible for users in one Salesforce org to look at information in another Salesforce org. So, for example, open cases that may have been created. So I'm connecting to another Salesforce org. I'm going to look at an open ticket that may have been escalated. I'm going to check the ticket. We're connecting real time with that org. So there's a problem with this order. So let's see what may have been happened. So I'm going to leave it as escalated, and as a status. I'm going to say, please follow. This is likely to cause issues. And escalate it? Yes. So that's the necessary. So within another Salesforce org that is using Service Cloud to be able to take action. Now we've determined this, that we have prepared the opportunity. We're now ready. We've understood if there are any open issues. We're ready to start engaging with the customer. Now, supplying products to a whole and a catering group, and one of the things we want to be able to see is whether we've been paid. So in real time, we've gone to NetSuite, obtained for the AO and catering group with this particular telephone number that they are in fact 364 days overdue. They owe us $1,299. In other words, I hadn't had to turn over to a different UI to be able to look at this information. I'm able to present it in the Salesforce user. I'm looking at a contact. I'm getting information that's coming from NetSuite. So the usability and the performance gains here are tremendous. Do I have an account, somebody that I might want to be able to talk to? Do I have a finance contact? I could say yes. And if I didn't have a finance contact, I could create a finance contact. In the interest of time, I'm not going to show this, but I could be looking information about the contact in LinkedIn to be able to complete the record. I'm going to skip that. And being that we're going to get paid and resolve this particular issue, now let's start building an order. So from a contact, we've created an opportunity, and we're to add to the opportunity a set of products. And these products, are coming from a database that's on-premise, where pricing information is getting updated in real time every morning, every hour. I'm just going to add 100 pounds of ocean fish, black cod. And, I'm on the phone with AO and the catering group, and they want freshwater fish, and I'm going to add 150 pounds, and that suffices. So I've the item. I'm bringing out the pricing in real time. Now done, I can finish it. And what I've just created, as part of doing this, is I've created the order with the pricing information. So Salesforce organization that needs to be able to interact with multiple systems, NetSuite, other Salesforce orgs, the databases, and to present information to the Salesforce user, we've now made it possible within for users. So how do we create this? How do we create this integration? Well, we created the ability within Salesforce to create guides and processes. This is the guide we ran, but I also want to show you that this is well integrated within Salesforce, but right from Informatica Cloud, manage your data integration tasks. You can access the service and process designer, where access the guides and the processes that we were showing. Let me show you the guide. And what guide does, let's give you a sense by simulating it, allows the user to present the user a step-by-step, takes the user through a step-by-step set of tasks to ensure that you're collecting the right information and that the information you're capturing is actually helping you through your data entry. So what's done here in the first step is simply creating forms that we're displaying within Salesforce. Salesforce. This form, simple HTML, you're just dropping fields. To add another field, I would just add the assistant's phone number, and that's as easy as it is for creating this visualization, this means by which you take input. The next thing we do is to create an opportunity into Salesforce. This opportunity is going to be created within Salesforce as opportunity. We're going to fill out simple fields. We're going to grab the account ID. We're going to take the input of the account using a screen, and various other fields. We're going to grab the price book from the standard price book from Salesforce. Input screen. We're going to enter the name of the user, the amount, the things that we saw during the demo. Next, we're going to call the NetSuite service. We're going to call NetSuite. We're going to pass the ID of the account, and that will allow us, by passing the ID of the account from Salesforce to as an input parameter to NetSuite. Next, going to return to us company and phone, email balance, and so on and so forth, which we'll present to the user here on a particular form. So we have an authoring environment. We are able to present information to users within Salesforce. That same authoring environment for creating guides allows you to do this information within smartphones, iPhones, or mobile or Android devices. So whether you're on the office or on the road, you're able to get access to this integration to be able to take a user through input, creating contacts, look at information in Salesforce, look at information on your on-premise database through the magic of the agents and Informatica Cloud GDC connectors. If we had not found a contact, an organizational contact, as I said, we could have created it. The create a contact is as simple as adding contact by taking some simple fields, inputs, the contact information, for example, using LinkedIn, using the user's first name, last name, and company, would allow you in real time to get the contact's title and some other information like picture. So this type of integration, the capability that we make possible now with Informatica Cloud RealTime for mashing up of information, helping users through access to information at source. And in a later session, where we can also show you how we can do opportunity order in real time so that you don't have to wait for bulk updates to process your orders. Ashwin?
Thank you, Luke. And for those of you that already used Informatica Cloud, you'll notice that the Informatica Cloud Service and Process Designer is integrated within the Informatica Cloud application itself. And you can access it within the app. On that note, I'm now talk about some of the exciting new cloud customer offerings that we have. Before that, I might talk about some other platform enhancements. With this particular winter 2015 release, which is using SAML SSO, we're allowing you to view the time zone at each org that you have. We're also going to enable some granular activity logging. That, I would like to bring on Ashok Gunasekaran, who is our cloud customer support group, and there's some exciting new offerings in that space, especially with Informatica's Discovery IQ. And there's some really neat machine learning functionalities that are being utilized. So, Ashok, over to you. Please take the ball.
Ashwin, you have seen a lot of product capabilities, exciting stuff, and every release we are bringing a lot of new things to you. And how much is it reaching each of you? How much are you utilizing in the whole cloud platform? What things that you are missing out? So the whole point of Informatica's new support services, we are bringing up a more an automated application, which is cloud-based again, to help you get the awareness of what are the things that you can use today that you're not utilizing, and what are the things that you can optimize your environment and operationally get the best benefit out of it. Is your agent fully performing? Are your tasks running to your expectation? From an operational perspective as well as adoption perspective, what things that we can bring in front of you that you may not be aware of today. So the point of Discovery IQ is to bring the right help at the right time across any time in your product life cycle. When you're onboarding, when you're a new customer, or when you're going through a live implementation or upgrades, or you're optimizing on an ongoing basis. Across product life cycle, we want to bring more value to you, and this application is focused on bringing that value at the right time. And other business values, which is on reducing total cost of ownership, increasing the personalized experience that you would expect from a support experience, and all those things are part of Informatica Discovery IQ's goals. Next slide. So maybe it's an automated application, and as we are working through integrating it to the complete cloud platform, I want to give you a preview on what it is about and what are the features that you can expect from it. And we are calling for beta starting in December. So this was just a preview of the application. Basically, it brings you an UI from the cloud application where you can see what your it's basically data in the back end that's backing this application. It's a cloud-based application. All your interaction data with us, either being an escalation or a case or any of your interaction with us from an online support, everywhere we capture those. And also your product interaction, how you are using the product, what are the things that you're utilizing, how many tasks you are running on a daily basis. What kind of product adoption statistics are also backing this application. So we take it operational and adoption analytics is a suite of reports or analytics that you will get from this application, showing the staggering task runs that you are going to see on a calendar basis, like how your tasks are running on a daily basis, how my different environment health looks like, agent versus my different orgs. You can switch between orgs, or you can switch between agents and go in detail and see what are the things that's happening. And this kind of adoption and analytical reports available. And secondly, recommendations and best practice. Go back. So recommendations and best practice are at that point of time you are implementing, and you are having this new update strategy that has been introduced as part of a cloud release. You get that information in real time when you're using that based on your usage and how you are deployed the cloud application and cloud integration. This update strategy may be a key component that you can use it in your mappings. So if you are using Cloud Mapping Designer, we come up with best practices and recommendations that can help you understand there are some new features. Similarly, operationally, if your disk space usage has been consistently going high or something, we can say like, hey, there's something that you may hit the 100% over time. So how can you go beyond that? You can do those kind of specific recommendations and best practices content. It not comes from SMEs, it comes from knowledge base, videos, and different content that we have from support perspective. We have a lot of information now. Ashwin talked about the increased number of activities and logging and all those stuff. But how can you be on top of those activities and logging? We do have advanced log analysis applications within this, which will help you to see at what point what error happened, how many times it happened over a period of time, and not only that, what does that error mean when it's come to you against other cloud customers? Can I do something proactively? So that's the goal for the log and diagnostic services. And then we have upgrade and go live checkpoints. So now that R1 is coming, and how well you need to be prepared. How well can your operations team be alerted if something is going to be running not to your expectation? So we have a pre-upgrade checklist, and time of upgrade, what are the changes that's happening in your system, agent level as well as the service level. And then post-upgrade, you'll get a complete report on what are the things that happened. If there are any tasks that used to run fine, now there are some difference in your environment based on the upgrade. It gives you those awareness and alerts through the same interface. And last, also have predictive and benchmarking services, as Ashwin was talking about. Certain things from an adoption reports that you see, like from how many tasks am I running, what is the volume of data that I'm passing on an ongoing basis. Based on your usage trends, how it's going, what are the predictions that we can have that over the next 6 months, what we will see? How much volume, if you are going through the same level of integration effort, what will you look at? So this will help you from an operational pursue to predict what are the areas that you should up and infrastructure or your investments or your license usage, anything that you can see to help you better plan for future. That is what predictive models, not only comparing your wounds, but also you will have options to see how it's tracking against all the other cloud customers or the peers in the similar industry. So those are some of the enhancements you're looking at, and this will be a separate application that's going to be part of the product offering, and it's in sub offerings that's going to be rolled out. If you have any interest, please reach out to one of us, and we'll be glad to set you up.
Well, thank you, Ashok, for that very great overview of the cloud customer support offerings. And that brings us to the release schedule. Those of you that have already been involved in the pre-release, thank you. And for those of you that want to get involved in the pre-release program, it's not too late. Please contact Anand Perry at a@informatica.com. Pre-release officially ends on December the 5th. And our scheduled live date is November the 14th, just in time for the holidays. So we reached the Q&A segment of our program, and we do have some questions here for us. First question here is about the mapping designer, and the question is this. Currently use Power Center to retrieve data from Salesforce based on a job control table that's resident in Oracle. Is the SOQL filter condition static, or can you make it dynamic by referencing another source? Example, a database table. We'll take that.
Sure, that's a great question. So let me start by saying that, especially with the Cloud Mapping Designer, we have a lot of flexibility and dynamic ways of creating queries already embedded. So you could, if you're pulling data from multiple sources, you could design a filter which can be, with certain aspects, that filter dynamic and can be supplied at the time that you want to run that mapping. We do not yet support direct SOQL query at the source transformation, and that's something that we are actively working on and will be available in a subsequent release early next year. So if you are trying to build a query, you can find a Salesforce and your Oracle database pretty much the way that I had done in my demo. Bring them in, join, and then provide a filter, which can be an advanced filter, and you can parameterize aspects of it, make it very dynamic, and the engine then generates the relevant query that goes against your Salesforce and Oracle. So we have a lot of optimization built into the engine as well to make that query highly optimized. But if you still want to override with an SOQL, that functionality is coming in the near future.
Excellent. Thanks for answering that, Krupa. Next question we have here is about encryption. Does the encryption happen on the cloud or on-premise?
Yes. So the answer for that is, right, it happens on, well, so beside encryption, the encryption happens on with source. There, now coming to the second question, which was about the encryption keys. Informatica support customer-owned encryption keys. So let me take a view on this, right? So there are two ways the Amazon AWS infrastructure currently supports encryption: server side and the client side. On the server side, it has the state-of-the-art, encryption methods. It allows managed encryption keys. It allows 256-bit advanced encryption standard. It actually keeps the key in a managed store, use the master key to again encrypt those keys and again rotate those keys. So it really has a very good way of handling the keys. Yes, and recently released the client-side encryption, which allows the customer to handle and manage the keys. And if the customer is really mature, they can do that. The downside to that could be a risk that if the customer loses the keys, then there would be no way to decrypt the data. But yeah, in our next release, we are coming up with the client-side encryption.
And thank you for that answer, Prateek. We have one more question that we'll take before we have to wrap things up, because we are at the end of the hour. And the final question here is, does the lookup allow filter conditions?
You can provide filter conditions when you're doing a lookup.
Excellent. Okay, so I see no other questions here. Thank you to all members of the Informatica Cloud Product Advisory Council for joining us today. The webinar will be recorded and put on Informatica Cloud communities. And once again, if you're interested in joining the pre-release program, please contact Anand Perry at aperry@informatica.com. Thank you and have a great day.